is Katie reporting live from Cincinnati, Ohio. We are going to do the Cadette New Cuisines badge today, and we're just going to take a few minutes to let people sign on. So just in the meantime, while we're waiting, if you can drop in the comments what your name is, where you're watching from, and what is a new food that you've tried recently? What's a new food we've tried recently, Ian?
Oh, let's see. Been making a lot of stuff on the pressure cooker.
Oh yeah, we've been using our Instant Pot a lot. That's been really fun. Yeah, we've been doing all kinds of creative stuff here. So there's usually a little lag for when the comments roll in. So we'll just wait a couple minutes here, but we are really excited to get started on this badge today. We've got some fun recipes to share with you. All right, so while we're waiting for the comments to come in, I'll just go quickly over the badge requirements. So to earn this badge, the first step is to try a dish from another country, and we're going to do that today by making ginger chicken from Vietnam. The second step is to try a dish from a different part of the country that you live in. So today we're going to complete that step as well, and we're going to try some Pacific Northwest Boysenberry Pie. And for step 3, we are going to do, well, we're not going to do this today, but for step 3, it's to whip up a dish from another time period. Step 4 is to cook a dish that makes a statement. And step 5 is to share your dishes on a culinary tour. Do we have any viewers yet, Ian?
Yeah, we've got 28 right now.
All right, any comments on?
Nothing yet, no.
Okay, cool. No worries. We'll just we'll wait another minute here before we get started on the recipes. All right.
Now, just to be clear, I don't have to click anything to look at the comments, right?
I don't think so.
I'm seeing people saying hi.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yep.
All right. So tell us where you're from and what your name is, and if there's any good food you've tried recently. So there's 28 people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we can get started. And you can just let me know if anybody joins and has any fun comments along the way. So, all right, we are going to make ginger chicken today. So, we're in Vietnam. College, I studied abroad in New Zealand, which is not Vietnam. It's an island country in the South Pacific, but not terribly far from Southeast Asia. And I actually took a Vietnamese cooking class there, and I learned how to make this recipe. And it's really, really easy, and I have been cooking it ever since. It's been about 10 years, so I probably make it, 5 or 6 times a year at least, and so I'm excited to share it with you today. All right, so the first step that we are going to do is we're going to cook the rice. So we'll get over here, if you want to come a little closer in, and then we can start cooking the rice, and then we'll just kind of go over all the ingredients. You need oil, so you need about 3 tablespoons of oil, and I'm a huge fan of putting them in little bowls to go, so I do this.
Looks like we might be having some connectivity issues,
are
but
we having issues?
if anyone can give us a shout, let us know if we're having any.
Until we hear otherwise.
Okay.
But we need so 3 tablespoons of oil. You need ginger and garlic, which I'm going to show you how to prepare all of. You also need chicken, which we have in the refrigerator, and rice. So,
yeah.
All right, so.
Yeah, people are saying it's fading in and out and it's glitchy, so.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so hopefully, we can get through these tech issues so you guys can all see. But so basically, with rice, you actually have to wash the rice. And I didn't learn this until I took this cooking class. It's important to wash rice. And the reason for that is that when you wash the rice, it removes a lot of the starch, and it actually makes it a more even texture so that the water can be absorbed into the rice a little bit easier, so it gives it a little more even flavor. So I'm going to do that real quick, and hopefully in the meantime we can sort out those tech issues.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yes. All right. So when you wash it, you want to make sure that the water kind of runs clear. That's how you know it's done being washed. All right. So that is good enough for now. And then I have my handy dandy rice cooker here. You don't have to have a rice cooker to make rice, but it definitely makes it a little easier. So we're going to use that today. And once we do that, then we just need to...
We do have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Annabelle Jenkins is asking, how much rice do we need?
How much rice? That's a great question. You need about a cup of rice. It really depends how many people you're cooking for. But if you're just cooking for 2 or 3 people, a cup of rice should be just fine. All right, so if you can bring the camera a little closer, in my rice cooker here, I just want to get to the 1 cup line. That's how a rice cooker works. You put in the rice, and then you add the water till you get to the 1 cup line, and then pop it in, and plug in your rice cooker, and you just press cook, and that's it. You just kind of forget about it for a little while. So that was the easy part of this recipe. So the next things that you need here is to just get everything prepped. So I'm going to actually sneak right around here and grab the chicken, because I forgot to get that out before, which I've kind of already prepped ahead, just for time's sake, so you don't have to watch me chopping chicken for 10 minutes. So we've got our chicken. So I use typically about 2 chicken breasts for this recipe, but really you can use kind of whatever you want. If you want to add more, just make sure to kind of proportionally add the other ingredients as you go, if you're going to be cooking for more people. So we've got our 2 chicken breasts. They are chopped up into just some bite-sized pieces, so we'll leave that for now. And then what I'm going to do to just get this started is I'm going to turn on my burner to a medium heat.
We do have another question.
Yeah, what's up?
Can you use olive oil instead of cooking oil?
That's a great question. So I actually have used whatever you want.
Oh, sorry. Might repeat that just because it looks like we faded out for a second.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Yes. So the question was if you can use olive oil or if it has to be a different type of cooking oil. So I just use kind of whatever oils I have available to me. I have olive oil right now, and that's what I'm using today. You can use vegetable oil, canola oil. Either of those will work just fine. All right, so now we're just gonna pop that right in to the burner, and then we're gonna add the sugar. Wait a little bit to do this, but since I've prepped pretty much everything, we can just get started on it. So the goal here, what you're trying to do is you're actually just mixing sugar with oil and heating it up so that you melt that sugar and it mixes.
You said you were trying to caramelize it, is that right?
Exactly, yeah, so caramelizing the sugar. And while we're waiting for that, so you stirring it a little bit and just don't completely leave it on its own. But we can kind of leave it for just a second so that it can kind of heat up and mix a little bit here, and then we can show them how to prep all of these ingredients. So I've already got this kind of set just for time's sake, but basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to chop 3 cloves of branches of ginger root. So if you it is very potent, and it just adds a lot of flavor to your dishes.
So we had a question about, looks like it already got answered. How much sugar you use?
Yes. And I've actually put the ingredients up at the top, so that is pinned at the top of the page. So if you need any references on that, just... Okay, so to chop the garlic, I learned about how to chop garlic, but we don't really need to chop this one because I've got it all set here already. A clove of garlic, it's kind of encased, got like a little thing over it. And I used to spend so much time peeling that garlic, and it just took forever. Until I learned this little trick where you just take a knife and you take the blade.
Sorry, we're getting some people asking. We're fading. Get some people saying, "Can you re-say everything?"
So you should be able to. So if you're having trouble viewing today, what you can do is it should be recorded just fine. So if you are having trouble again to get the parts that you missed, but we should be able to in the video. So I apologize for those of you who are having technical issues right now. We'll continue on the garlic here. So you just put the blade over, so put the sharp part away from you. Obviously don't hurt yourself on this knife. So you just want to like kind of push it down, and that kind of helps bring this little shell out. So then you just want to mince. You just want to chop it up and get it nice and minced here. But again, I actually have all the garlic chopped already, so we don't need to worry too much about this. But you just want to get it a nice, like small little pieces of. And this over here is just taking a little while, but we just want to make sure we're paying attention to it because we don't want the sugar to burn. So we just want to make sure we're kind of stirring it every once in a while. So the next step then is to chop the ginger. A style of cutting called julienne. Has anybody ever heard of that? You're trying to make matchsticks. And so this is what it looks like. So they're just little matchsticks. But before you can do that, you actually need to peel. If you're not super comfortable with using a knife, then if you want to bring it.
Trying to find the right Wi-Fi spot, but
okay. All right. So here you might want to actually pop around this side.
Sure.
It might be a little easier to see. And I'm just going to give this baby a little stir. And I always just take, a little paring knife and just kind of peel it off. Usually ginger has some like funky little knots on the side of it. I'll just cut those right off. And that really helps. All right, so again, I don't really need this piece. I've got it all set for you guys, but I am going to just show you really quickly different kinds of knives here because I like to use different knives. This knife is great for peeling, but it's not so great for chopping. So I'm not going to peel this whole thing because I don't want to make you guys watch me do that for the next 10 minutes because it does take a little while to do. But I am going to just show you. I'm going to chop it, and then you just want to get it nice and small pieces, and then you can make them into little matchsticks and put them in your recipe here. So, all right, so now let's just kind of bring this back over here. We're still working on the sugar. It takes a little while, so
it's starting to smell really, really nice too.
Oh yeah, it definitely, like, you get that kind of like burnt sugar smell. Like, not that it's actually burning, but it's definitely cooking here. So it takes a little while to do this. So I might actually just turn my burner up just a tiny bit. We're still on medium here. This is definitely not something that you want to cook on high. So just be a little careful with that, because anytime you're cooking with oil, or just cooking really on a burner in general, you just want to be extra cautious and careful that you're not burning anything, and we don't want to start any oil fires. So just keep paying attention to that, and the more it mixes, it will just meld together, and that sugar will melt. And it'll just be really delicious. So we're just going to wait on that a minute here. And I'm just going to take a peek at my notes real quick. All right, so We are just ahead of ourselves here. I might have done a little bit too much prep ahead of time. So
we did get a few
let's
answers.
See if we have any questions from the audience.
Looks like the questions are being answered.
Great.
But we did have a few folks mention some foods that they've been trying out.
All right, what do we got?
Let's see.
And actually, if you want to bring the camera over here, the sugar's really starting to caramelize. So I want you guys to see what that looks like. Do you see when we were over here just a few minutes ago, you know, the sugar was really like grainy. You could still see it. And now it's starting to look a little bit darker, more liquefied. All right, so I think it's just about ready. I'm gonna turn it down just a tiny bit though, because it gets really, really hot. So the next thing we wanna do is just pour our garlic and our ginger into the thing. You can kind of hear it sizzle. Just be a little extra careful that you don't get any oil splashing back at you. All right, so we're just gonna kind of mix that in. You can kind of see the ginger and garlic really mix with that caramelized sugar. And that's why it's so important that we don't want to burn it, because otherwise it won't get like nice and gooey and stick together. We made this last weekend to prep it, and I think I burnt it a little bit, didn't I, Eden?
No, it was fine. It was great.
Well, that's good. All right, so what kind of foods have people tried?
Okay, let's see. Going back, Olivia Rios from Corona, California, Troop 499. They tried Thai coconut soup last night.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I've actually been to Corona, California before. My brother used to live there for a while. So that's cool.
And then Jennifer Fisher from Florida says they recently made adobe chicken bowls and churros.
Ooh, nice. Adobe chicken bowls. I don't know if I've ever had that before. So basically, what you want to do here is just kind of stir it, get it going, and then just let it sit for a little bit. And you will want to start doing more things with it once it gets fragrant. So when you can smell it, that's when you know that it's time for the next step. So we're just going to hang out a little bit. All right, so are there any questions so far? Has anybody ever been to Vietnam or tried any other Vietnamese foods? I know there's a ton of different Vietnamese recipes that are really popular right now. It'll take a minute for the comments to roll in,
yeah,
so
sure.
we'll give it a minute. But now I can take the time while I'm waiting to just clean up a little bit from what I've been doing here. So I'm just gonna take my little food scraps and just kind of put them to the side for now. And our rice is coming along great, in case anybody was wondering.
We have one, it says, my mom was born in Vietnam.
Oh, awesome. Sounds like someone's mom was born in Vietnam. That is so cool. I've actually never been to Vietnam, but it is high on my list of places to go. From taking this Vietnamese cooking class, I can say with confidence it is one of my favorite cuisines out there. So that is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so what do you think? Can we smell it? I think we can.
Oh yeah.
So, all right.
It smells good.
Okay, so now that it's fragrant, we get to add the chicken. So, of course, whenever you're cooking with raw meat, you want to be extra careful. So, we don't share knives or cutting boards with anything that you're using raw meat with, unless you are washing all of it. So, just keep that in mind, especially with chicken. We don't want anybody getting any foodborne illnesses or salmonella or anything like that. So just be extra careful. So since there's probably raw meat on this, I'm just gonna take that to the garbage so I don't cross-contaminate. And then I'm going to just pour my chicken in. All right, so from here, turn this back up a little bit. All right, so from here we are just kind of waiting for the chicken to cook. So it's going to be absorbing all of the flavor from the ginger and the garlic, and it's just going to get nice and sizzled in right here. So we're just going to wait a few minutes, and then the next step that we're going to do here is add fish sauce and soy sauce. Has anybody ever heard of fish sauce before? I know the girl whose mom was born in Vietnam probably has heard of this. It's a really popular sauce that is used in a ton of Southeast Asian recipes. And if you've never cooked with it before, the first time that I used fish sauce, it was like a little bit strong to me. But I found out that it actually it's a huge flavor enhancer. And it's something that I try to use as much as possible now. So it can be found in a lot of Asian supermarkets, which is typically where I get it. If you go to like regular supermarkets, you can usually only get really small quantities of it. So with what it is basically is it's 3 ingredients. So it's water, fish extract, and salt. So like that's all it is. But it's an amazing flavor enhancer, so definitely encourage you to learn about that. Where did my little thing go? I lost my spatula. Here we go. All right, so with this, we just want to stir it a little bit. We don't want to stir it too much, but we just want to make sure that the chicken is getting cooked on all sides. So very important step. And we're going to make sure that we don't put our spatula anywhere that's going to cross-contaminate too much. So, all right. So, are there any questions so far? Any Vietnamese recipes people have wanted to try or have tried lately?
Not that I can see, no.
All right, well, since we're almost done here with the ginger chicken, I'm going to start talking a little bit about the next recipe that we're making. And so this is for step 2 of the badge, which is to make a dish from a different part of the country that you live in. And so we're here in Ohio, which is in the United States. And I wanted to make a recipe from the Pacific Northwest. So I'm actually originally from Portland, Oregon. That's where I came from before I lived in Ohio. And one thing that I remember from growing up is berry picking every summer. And I know that that's something that you can do just about anywhere. But the berries specific to the Pacific Northwest are very unique. So when you go to the supermarket, probably just about anywhere in the U.S., you can find things like strawberries, blackberries, blueberries. What are some berries that you guys know of? Are there any other berries out there that you've heard of aside from those main 3 that I just mentioned? While we're waiting for that, answers for that to come in, I just want to talk about all the varieties of berries that there are. There are so many berries out there that I had never even heard of. I know that there's some from different countries too. And there's so many varieties that you can have beyond just the basic ones that you can normally find in the supermarket. There's so many varieties out there. Are there any answers rolling in yet, Ian?
There's a few answers. Raspberry is another one.
Raspberry, that's a good one,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah. Boysenberries and huckleberries.
Boysenberries and huckleberries. Oh, nice. Well, somebody, I think, knows about